Hello, everyone. I'm Matt Williamson. How's it going? At Williamson NFL. Hope everyone enjoyed the 4th. Pulling back the curtain, I am recording this on the 5th. My Sunday, the 6th, is going to be super busy, so getting this to you maybe a little early. I'm not sure when it'll get published, but probably Monday morning. Since we talked last, didn't seem to get a lot of fanfare in Pittsburgh, but I think it should. Omar Khan signed a 3-year extension. I think it's great. I am a huge Kevin Colbert fan, and this isn't Omar's better than Kevin, Kevin's better than Omar. But I think there have been drastic changes since the end of the Colbert regime over these past 3 years with Omar, and I think we have to include Weidl in this as well. I think the team is doing things differently. I think that they have much more forward thinking. I don't think Omar looks at himself as a true scout, but that's Weidl's job. Omar is great with he's a general manager. I say this all the time. He manages generally. He defers to Tomlin to coach. And not that, one's stronger than the other, but there is 4 or 5 people in the organization that have a lot of power. And he defers to Weidl to some degree to be the scouting department. And all those scouts, of course, those scouts that I was that don't have a name, and people don't know who those guys are, but they are doing a very good job. It's a good scouting staff. But I think his understanding of the current finances of the NFL is extremely important. Tackles don't grow on trees. Hey, corners are harder to find than safety. I think the use of compensatory picks, free picks to let guys like Najee Harris and Dan Moore and the quarterbacks go. And that allows me to do other things. So many more trades, so many more cap advantages. Now, the big goal, obviously, the elephant in the room is if and when you will find your franchise quarterback. Easier said than done. But that is going to have to be obviously the precedent or the big thing that will be looming over Omar's and the whole organization's legacy here in the next year or two, But I think the extension of Omar Khan is a wonderful thing. I hope people realize that this organization has changed a great deal, and I think they have a high-end general manager in charge. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. With baseball season full swing, BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. We keep the dog days of summer rolling with the largest selection of odds on everything, with updated odds on the MLB, UFC, and boxing to tennis and NFL futures. BetOnline remains the best online source for all your sports wagering info. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here. I found this very interesting. First of all, I think, I repeat this all the time, but I think at this point, you guys understand that one of my massive goals on defense, the biggest one, is get back to leading the league in sacks, more or less. And I've blamed the coverage a lot for this, and back to Omar being on top of things, I think some of these coverage moves, Slay, Ramsey, greatly indicate that they understand the same issue. That you have the best defensive line in the league, but you're not getting the most out of them. So it just so happens, I think, I got this from PFF, but I'm not 100% sure. But they put out a chart of average defensive line alignment. That's the key. Where do they align on the line of scrimmage? 3 technique, 1 technique, wide 9, 4 eye, blah, blah, blah. By team. Average defensive line alignment entropy by team. Now, I'm dumb. I didn't know what the word entropy meant. ENTROPY. So I went to Webster and I checked it out. And it sounds like it is a thermodynamics term, a measure of unavailable energy in a closed thermodynamic system that is also considered to be a measure of the system's disorder. That's key. That is a property of the system state, and that varies directly with any reversible change in heat in the system and inversely with the temperature of the system. Williamson, what the heck are you talking about? I'm not in tune in for thermodynamics. I didn't either. But Webster's broadly, the degree of disorder or uncertainty in a system. I don't know why they would use this word entropy, whatever. Some thermodynamic term to describe defensive linemen. But anyway, they did. And basically, all this shows is how often do you line up in different spots? How much degree of disorder or uncertainty in a system does that create? And the Steelers, this probably doesn't shock anyone, but it's pretty alarming, are tied with San Francisco for, the short of it is, they put their defensive linemen in the exact same spot every time. Now, we've talked about this a ton with Watt coming from the quarterback's right side. But, here's an example. Cam Hayward lined up between the inside shoulder of the left guard and a head-up alignment on the left tackle. It's not a very big gap there. On 86% of his snaps. TJ Watt's snaps almost come exclusively outside the right tackle. And Alex Highsmith's snaps almost come exclusively outside the left tackle. I think we knew a lot of this, but when you see this chart and you see how the way they broke it down, although they made it more complex with this word entropy more than they needed to, but what they did was they took 333 defensive linemen, all shapes and sizes, from Watt to Benton to Dexter Lawrence, everybody in between, that played enough snaps. So of the 333 qualifying defensive linemen, they gave them an entropy score, which basically just means, if you're number one, that means the offense has no clue where you're going to be. If you're number 333, he's going to line up in the exact same spot every time. So again, remember, this is out of 333. Benton was 251st. TJ Watt was 264th. Alex Highsmith was 277th. Larry Ogunjobi was 313th. And Cam Hayward was 318th, as we mentioned, out of 333. Basically saying these guys line up in the exact same spot every time. So here's the little blurb they had to say about it. Is Pittsburgh finished with the highest PFF pass rushing grade in the NFL last season, but only 14th highest in pressure rate. Now, I'll throw in, they were also 16th in sacks. We can interpret that in a few ways. It's easy to make an argument the core of Watt, Highsmith, Hayward, Benton, and now Derek Harmon gives Pittsburgh the most talented defensive front in the NFL. Something I very much agree with. But here's the key. Offenses were able to game plan around that advantage, particularly late in the NFL season. It's easier to take a defensive player of the year caliber player like Watt out of the game when you know where he's going to be on every snap. And so they say the last thing the PFF writes here is the numbers that show how often teams would chip Watt back that up. And the latest I could find, they have this list of chip percentage. They have it through week 14 of last year. But as you would imagine, they're all the big names. Now, side note, I really distrust chip percentage, double team percentage, because ESPN has this metric where Myles Garrett's the most double team defensive end in the league. I don't doubt that, but the numbers are really low. And if you watch any Garrett, Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa, TJ Watt snap, you know that they are touched by two human beings on any given snap. Very, very high percentage of the time. So this chip rate, I think, is defined as somebody chips you on your way out to their route, tight end or running back. But anyway, through week 14, take this with a grain of salt, but still it's pretty prominent to me. And it's also a pretty good argument that Watt's better than Garrett. I know that we fight about that. So Max Crosby was chipped through week 14, 17% of his snaps. His pass rush snaps. Micah Parsons was at 18.3. Myles Garrett is at 26% of his pass rush snaps. He got a chip on the way out to someone's route. Your boy TJ Watt, 33%. The point being, if you line up in the same spots, it's a heck of a lot easier to game plan for you. Watt's the poster boy for this. We see it all the time. Teams come out with a tight end to the offense's right, the back in the backfield to the quarterback's right, all that good stuff. And I guess he's been open to changing his alignment more. But Cam's always on the same side. Ogunjobi was always on the same side. They're at the bottom of the league in terms of moving their defensive linemen around. Yet I still think they have the best defensive line in the league. Well, what's missing here? Let's maximize them more by doing different stuff. And I think these numbers really back that up. But I don't think any of this will super shock you. All right, everyone. Be back tomorrow. Over and out.